Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Dream of Crafts. My name is Deanna and today is tutorial number 4 for my 13 days of Halloween. We're going to be doing witch brooms 4 different ways and we're just going to jump right in. So I like to go out to my yard and find, these are just twigs off a bush. It's just a bush that grows in my yard, alongside my yard, and I went out and I like to try to find some that are a little crooked, but I don't always, so I just get what I can. I prefer these. They look more natural. If you don't have access to a bush or something like that, Dollar Tree or dollar stores usually sell those skewers. So this one's already got the tip cut off because I already made a small broom with it. So, but this is just one of the Dollar Tree skewers. They come, oh, you get a huge amount for $1. So don't buy them at your grocery store because you'll pay way more than you need to. The dollar stores do usually carry these, and it's just a nice piece of wood to use for your broom handles if you want. So let me go ahead and zoom out here just a bit. All right. So the first broom we're going to do, and I'm sure you've seen these, but we're going to do another one, is the paper broom. Sometimes they use straws. If I have access to the wood, and I think the straws look so bulky to me. So I like the look of the stick or the skewer. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. I do not have the scissors that they use, those multi-cutting scissors. I don't have those. So I'm starting with a piece of scrap paper. This is from my leftover scrap still. And so I grabbed a piece and cut it down to 2 3/4 inches high by 5 1/8 inch wide. And I've already started slicing. And I just take my scissors and I go in and I line up my scissors just so I can still see the edge of the paper, and I cut up to about a 1/2 inch from the top. And I did this already because I wanted to move right along with this. I didn't want you to sit there and watch me cut little strips of paper, but this is basically all I do. I line up my scissors so I can see just a little bit of the edge and cut up to about a 1/2 inch. If you're a little skinnier than that or a little wider than that, it's not going to hurt anything. In fact, it looks a little better because they're not all perfect. So as you get closer to the end, you'll have to move your fingers out of the way a little bit. But I kind of prefer this because they're not all exactly the same. They might be a little crooked, a little thicker, a little thinner. So that adds to the character. So let's just get this last one here. Split the, oops, it's pretty thin, so you know what, I might just leave it because it is pretty thin. So then what I do is I gently, because I don't want to pull on where I cut, so I'm just running my finger along that very top edge there, trying to get it to curl, to break those fibers in a little bit, get it used to being rolled up. Okay, we're going to take one of our sticks. Let's just go ahead and use one of these ones. And I think I like the looks of this. I think this way. Yeah, I think that's good. So I'm going to come in here about my 1/2 inch. And let me get this going this way. I'm right-handed. And I'm going to put some hot glue on this to get it started. I'm going to lay it right there. And I'm going to bring my paper in and put something so I don't burn my fingers. I'm going to try to get that tight on there if I can. Just like that. Okay. Give that a good press. Let it set up. There we go. Then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to add just a sliver of glue here. Doesn't have to be a big amount. I'm just kind of rubbing it on the paper. And then we're just going to start rolling this up. Just like so. And as I'm rolling, it's kind of pushing the glue along, which is fine. Means I just have to use less glue. And then we're going to come back in. Another little rub of hot glue. And I'm just trying to keep my edges lined up here and just rolling. So this one does actually go kind of fast. Oh, I must have brought a spider in with me from outside. Yeah, we'll get him sooner. Oh, I just seen him again. Come this way and I'll get you. So I'm just going to keep rolling up. And if a little squeezes out, I'm not worried about it because we're going to put a ribbon on there. Okay, perfect. Now this looks a little commercial to me, so I'm just going to grab a hold down below where my papers are connected, and I'm just going to start scrunching and get them to wrinkle up a little bit. There we go. Just don't want it to look all commercially. This was a rugged witch. She's a little rough on her brooms. All right, there we go. I like the looks of that. It's enough for ribbon. I think I'm just going to use this. All the ribbon I'm using is whoops, there it goes. From Hobby Lobby, just from in their sewing department. And I've had some of this for years. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of hot glue there. And I'm not going to cut off my length yet. I'm going to be about 1/8 of an inch or so down, maybe 1/4 of an inch down from the top there. Okay. And then I'm just going to continue to run just a tiny bit of glue. Now, depending on the ribbon you use, this one likes to kind of seep through, so I got to be a little careful so I don't burn myself. The other ones didn't, but this one seemed to want to do that, so try not to put very much on there. But so I'm just going to continue on here, rolling. Go a little bit further, and then we'll cut it off a little bit, just to get a good amount there. Okay. Got good sharp scissors here. Go and cut that off. Oh, cut my paper. There we go. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. The geese are flying over. All right. A little bit of glue there. There we go. So that is broom number 1. It's got a nice little crook in it. And I can trim it down. It looks like it's got quite a long handle. I just used my craft little nippers I've got here. I think I'm going to trim it down to about right there. I think that looks like a good height. There we go. Broom number 1. Perfect. Broom number 2. Again, this is using some of the branch I found in my yard. With this one, I have used baler twine. Now, baler twine is used to keep the bales of hay or straw together. I just happen to have a little bit of it. It's kind of raggedy looking and rough. It's a little coarse. And we're going to wrap it around 4 fingers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like we got about 9. Okay. So I'm going to hold that. Come in with my scissors. Cut there. Hold it. Come back up. And cut there. All right. Get them all together. Don't look like much, but when we're done, it's going to be nice like that. Okay. So I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to kind of open that up on the end. I'm going to grab another one of my twigs. Let's do this one. And I'm going to get some hot glue on the end here. I'm going to start with just a smaller amount. I'm going to put it in the center there. And I'm going to bring that baler's twine around there. And I'm just going to give it a little twist. I want what little bit of glue I have on there to smush out and grab as many pieces as it can. I'll hold it just for a little bit. I'm going to release it. And I'm going to pinch. Keep it pinched so I don't lose any of it. And I'm coming back in, and I'm going to add a little bit more, just small amounts of hot glue here and there, just to hold it in. Now that one squeezed out a little more than I wanted, so I'm just going to let it start seizing up here, and then I'll move in. Okay. Okay, twist it in there. Okay, it's cool enough now. I can squeeze it. Once it's cool enough and I think it's dry, I can let that go. Whoops, we're missing one here. Let's stick that in there. See if we can get it to stick to some of that glue there. All right. So for this one, let's use the Hello, or it's Halloween ribbon. And that one is right here. Okay. So I'm going to add another piece of hot glue to this here. A little piece of hot glue. A little bit of hot glue to this piece here. Goodness gracious. And I'm just going to stick it back on there so it's with the others. It just slipped out is all. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with our ribbon. And again, I'm going to stay about 1/4 of an inch down from the top. Lay a bead of glue. Lay my ribbon in there facing up and down like that. Okay. All right, bring it around. Lay another bead of glue here. You just want to keep it enough glue so it keeps it from sliding away, and it helps hold that in. Just like that. So I'm pulling it kind of tight. And we're going to go around a little bit more here. Just like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go around one more time, I think. So I want to try to get the whole word Halloween. So let's go around again. Might not be able to, but we'll try. Okay. And the last little bit, I'm going to put it on the ribbon itself here. You can use something else too. You don't have to use ribbon. I just thought the ribbon looked nice. Okay, so there. Yep, I made it. So I'm going to cut the ribbon off right at the end. There. Gotta get a better grip on it so I'm not tearing it. There we go. And then I'm going to put the rest of that on there. I'm going to use my scissors because I was out to the end there a little bit. There we go. Okay. So there we go. We got the whole word Halloween. We're going to let that sit up and make sure it's good and dry a minute before we move on with it. And I'm going to trim off my stick to, I think I'm right there. Okay. We're going to come back to this one. Let's go ahead and do another one. So this one here is done with Raffida. This also is from the Dollar Tree, and they usually have it all the time. If you can't find it, Hobby Lobby usually has it fairly reasonable. You get a huge amount. So let me grab some. This is some I had from a project I was working on. So some of it might be shorter, some of it might be longer. Let's go ahead and find a bigger piece. There we go. I'm going to go around, I think for my other one I did 10. So 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to trim this little piece off here. And then do again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that worked out perfect. So actually 10. If you have longer lengths, you can just do 10. I'm going to come in and snip here. And then put this back together here. Find my halfways. Snip. There we go. Kind of line them back up there a little bit. And I'm going to pinch. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other. I'm going to open that up a bit. And I'm going to use my last stick I have here. See what end I want to use. Let's use the heavier end. Okay. Again, I'm going to put some hot glue around my stick. Put it in there. And then bring this in around it. I'm just gently pressing, because if it's too hot, then I can back off, because I'm holding down here, holding together down here. And I'm just gently pressing it there. So even if I say ouch and let go here, I'm still holding here. So, all right. Let's bring some of this back. Add just a tad bit more glue here. This time I'm going to try to be a little more careful so I don't get as much as I did last time. There we go. Just until we think we've got most of it holding, and then typically when we wrap it with something, whatever we wrap it with, it will hold, it will seep back in there. All right. Get glue fingers. Okay. So for this one, I just used the orange and black stripe, but we're going to switch, because on this one I used the Trick or Treat. Sorry about that. So this one I'm going to use the Trick or Treat on. All right. So I'm going to start with some glue, again about 1/4 of an inch down from the top. We want to see a little bit of that top. Kind of hold it and pull. Okay. A little bit more. You can make these any size too, and I'll show you here in a second. I did a tinier one. So you can make them smaller. You just use a little bit less materials. And I'm going to put a bit more of that on there. Pull it around. Now this one is too long for me to get the full word, so we're just going to enjoy the colors. And we're going to cut that off there. And got a couple little extra long ones there. I'm just going to kind of nip them off. There we go. Muss it up a little bit. And then we will cut this one down to, I think, about right there. Whoops, finger. There. So that is that one. For the last one here, I have taken some grasses that I've got out in my yard. These were off to the side where we don't mow, a little bit longer, thinner grasses. So we're going to go ahead and grab some of that. This is a little harder to work with because I'm going to keep this plastic bag right down here because it's a little messy. So this is what it looked like. I just trimmed it down, and here we go. So now for this one, because I'm out of sticks, we're going to use our skewer. So what I did was I gathered my grasses. Oh, there's one. That's all right. We'll just use the skewer. It's not a big deal. So I gathered it and bunched it up. And I'm not going to cut anything off yet until I figure out what's broken, what's cut, what needs to be cut. All right. So I'm going to keep a good fair amount there, I think. And we can get rid of some of that, I guess. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to gently, because this is very dry, just gently open that up, grab my skewer, and just like with the twigs or little branches, you put some around there, and I'm going to dip that back in there, and I'm just going to pull it around there carefully. You can see where it's squeezed out there a little bit. Let that start setting up. But these ones, this looks, more Not that I've seen a real witch's broom, but to me looks more realistic of what you might see because it is all natural materials. And I would think that's what they would go get used, because when they used to make brooms, they would go get the natural materials. And that's what they made brooms out of. They didn't have modern day plastics and stuff like that. I'm going to sit this down here, and I'm just going to kind of push this around. Maybe even move this. It is a little bit warm for me. There we go. Okay. So now we've got that. And I'm going to just kind of take my older scissors and trim some of this longer stuff up here. Still too a little bit too long. There we go. So now with that one I use string, but I think I'm going to use, where did that little rope go? Let me move this out of the way so I don't end up dumping that all over me or anything else. I had some twine here. Oh, there it is. Here we go. I think I'm just going to use twine rather than string. This is just twine like you'd find in the craft department at Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to start a little dab of glue here. And we're going to put that in there. I'm going to start beyond it so I have something to hold on to without getting burnt. Lay it in and bring it around. Kind of pull it, bring it around. Keep pulling. There we go. Just like that. And then just like that. So everything should be touching some glue. I'm going to come in and cut that. There we go. And so we got a nice, more natural looking broom. And let's go ahead and, I guess that's about, I'm going to cut out just a little bit here. Put down just a little bit. Now, I'm not sure about that color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Distress ink here. I'm just going to use black for the sake of, because it's right here. So I'm just going to kind of smudge that up there to make it look a little darker. I have walnut stain that probably would look nice too because it's brown. So there is number 4. Now this one here, it's so tiny. I use the skewer. I then use the raffia, and I only wrapped 5 times. Then I used the raffia to wrap around, and I left a length on each end. So when I started, I had a couple inch length, and then when I ended, I cut a couple inches off. So when I was done wrapping, I could tie a double knot, and then that held that on. Then I just took my Distress ink, did the handle, and then I took the carved pumpkin Distress ink and just kind of touched the little broom part. So I thought that was cute. So just another idea. So let's go ahead and skip back to our first one, which is, no, our second one, I should say, the Balor's twine. So with Balor's twine, it's all tightly wound. But when you come in, let me grab one here, and you go reverse, like you're unwinding it, it releases all these little fibers. So all I did was sit and I just started untwisting it and, you know, just gently pulling it apart. And it goes quite fast because it's not knotted or anything. It's just twisted up to make it tight to hold the bales, to make a rope. So once you start doing that, it just keeps getting puffier and puffier. And you just do that to all of them and just kind of pull them apart there a little bit. And that's all I did for that. And Balor's twine, oh, I don't know, you at your Oh, like your family farm and home stores would have Ballard's twine. Maybe you know a farmer who can just give you a small amount. I mean, a little bit goes a long way. You don't need a great big huge roll of other. You could use it for other things, you know, because it's tough stuff for sure. So that's all I did was I just sat and unwound them all and puffed them up so that it was a nice and full. Yeah. So there. So that is all of our brooms. I hope that gives you an idea of something a little different. And I know some of these are done. There's hundreds of them out there. I just thought I'd give you the grass one and the Ballard twine one. Just something a little different. Instead of using straws and stuff, like I said, that's just not me. Not that I say I would never try it, but it's just, I think these are more proportioned in size to each other than using a great big straw. So if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And I know I tell you that every time, but I really do. And that is why I say it. I'm not one to say things I don't mean. And so I really do feel that way. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so at this time. And then when the bell pops up, hit that bell and you'll be notified each time I do a new video. And as always, until the next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.